Immigration enforcement policy now includes a rapidly expanding network of ICE chartered flights, transporting thousands of detainees every month across the United States.
A man living in Maryland under ICE supervision says one of those flights was just part of a 12-hour ordeal in handcuffs and shackles. Conditions human rights activists argue are completely unnecessary, with a price tag that could exceed $1 billion. Chief investigative reporter Eric Flack has more.
Fabel Lemus is a father of 5 who has lived and worked in Maryland for 28 years.
You can see my hands. I can work 7 days a week, no problem.
He describes himself as a family man, owns his own home remodeling business, has 5 kids. ICE calls him a, quote, criminal illegal alien, citing prior convictions for immigration fraud in 1994 and a DUI in 2012. What both sides agree on is that Lemus had been living here for years under a formal ICE arrangement, allowing him to remain in the country with regular check-ins. That is, until this past February, when he showed up for one of those check-ins and was arrested, shackled, and put on an ICE Air flight to Louisiana. WUSA 9 spent months documenting flights like the one Lemus was put on at BWI, one of hundreds now operating out of airports across the country, part of President Trump's rapidly expanding deportation network. Lemus's flight to Louisiana would take roughly 4 hours. Shackled the entire time, Lemus says he couldn't take his diabetes medication because his chained hands couldn't open the sealed plastic bag of food that officers gave him.
And I say, look, I'm an animal.
You said I'm not an animal.
Yeah, I told him, look, I'm an animal. Why you give me food and I can't eat? He said he don't care.
When that ICE Air flight landed in Louisiana, Lemus's journey was far from over. After 3 hours parked at that Louisiana airport and a 2-hour drive to the detention facility, Lemus says by the time he arrived, he had been in restraints for roughly 12 hours.
You think a lot of stuff.
What do you think?
I was thinking, I say, well, if I gotta die, I gotta die. I wanna die.
Lemus spent 18 days in that Louisiana detention facility before a federal judge ruled his arrest was unlawful and that he never should have been put on that ICE Air flight to begin with. Lemus was released and is now back home in Maryland. But ICE Air flights like the one he was put on continue to fly in and out of BWI and across the country.
Tonight at 11, we investigate the full scope of the ICE Air charter flight program, the enormous cost to taxpayers, and why some immigration advocates now say detainees are being treated like Amazon packages. At BWI Airport, Eric Flack, WUSA 9.
In a statement, the Department of Homeland Security told us that despite a historic number of injunctions, DHS is working rapidly and overtime to remove these aliens from detention centers to their final destination, home.
Again, we'll have much more on this story tonight at 11 o'clock. Wait until you see the bill for this program.